What's happening? What is happening? Well. Where do we start? Listen, I think first things first, I thought it was a decent game, to be fair. It was exciting. I thought that both teams, I'll say both teams in the end, were trying to win the game. And yeah, man, it's mad because having watched that game, as I did say before the game, 2-1, I did think that Brentford would win the game, and obviously very nearly won it in the end. The same with Arsenal. Big up to Babs Wandiva each and every time. But yeah, listen, 4 points now, 4 points. Big up to Fitz, big up. Guys, let me know what you think because you know what, yeah? It just shows you in it that when you talk too quick, and I'm aiming it at you Arsenal fans, when you talk too quick, sorry guys, I've just seen a result, yeah, that's just taken my mind away. Atletico Madrid have just beaten Barcelona 4-0. What the hell is going on? That is mad. Yeah, big up to Fitz, man. Try telling them Arsenal fans. Bro, listen. Lumi Rain, where are you? Where are you? You know what needs to happen right now. So, listen, man. As I said, Arsenal now, 4 points is the gap. And I think it's safe to say, man, as the title says, are Arsenal starting to apple crumble? And Mamba right on cue, 4 points clear. Listen, that 4 points will be wiped out very soon because the funny thing is, yeah, big up to Foxy Danny as well. The funny thing is that Arsenal, they play, obviously, North London Derby next. And I did say that them sacking Thomas Frank, might be a bit of a masterstroke, knowing that, new manager bounce is going to come through and, it's going to be pressure time for Arsenal. And I fully expect Tottenham to get a point from Arsenal. I fully expect it now. I think if Thomas Frank would have remained, it was quite clear that the players weren't really playing for him. But I think if Thomas Frank remains, I think Arsenal win that game. I will go as far and say now, I expect Tottenham, I know they've got injuries, etc., but North London Derby is North London Derby. And because they're at home, their fans are going to be expecting a result. And I can see them picking up a point. And before Arsenal play Tottenham, City will be playing Newcastle at home. And, we know what the score was. We know what the score was there last. And I think I fully expect City, to go and win that game. And that means they're a point behind Arsenal. And Arsenal have to go and play, obviously, the North London Derby. So all of a sudden, it's not looking too comfortable for Arsenal, and that's why the title is named "Are Arsenal Starting to Apple Crumble?" Because I think this is the time now where Arsenal are going to start to unravel. And what I would say, yeah, is that for me, I want to say that Arsenal were very fortunate for me. I know the Martinelli chance at the end, but Brentford played some good football, man. There was some good football Brentford were playing. And I definitely think that, you'd probably say Brentford deserved, minimum 1 point from that game. Igor Thiago was causing problems. Gabriel Magalhaes should have been sent off as well because that swipe that he gave to Dango Utara, who was a threat all night, the thing for me, I think on another day, he'd have been given another yellow card for that, or definitely a yellow card if he wasn't booked before. So they got away with that one. Big up to Stretford M Podcast, says Arteta's boys going through puberty again. Bollocks ain't dropped yet. I hear it. At least Mamba's turned up anyway, because these Arsenal fans, these guys only want to turn up when it suits them, and this is why I keep saying to you guys, they are not going to win any Premier League title because the fan base are deluded, the players aren't it. Big up to Noni Madueke though. You know, great header. You know, you can't even lie. That was a top header from Madueke, you know, to get his first goal of the season, you know, with 14 games left to go. Yeah, big up Madueke, man. It's about time you turned up. But Lewis Potter, obviously, with the equaliser. And listen, man, it's panic stations. Panic stations for that fan base, you know, because yeah, man, it was final sign Raheem Sterling. Crazy. Final sign Raheem Sterling, you know. But yeah, no, as I said, guys, I think it was an entertaining game. I think in terms of quality, I don't think the quality was that high, you know. I think it was more of a battle, you know, especially in that second half. You know, Arsenal knew they needed to try and get a goal early on to try and keep the pressure on Man City, you know, to try and go 6 points clear. And I think you have to be honest, man, the header from Madueke and the cross from Hincapié, you know, was a great bit of play. But, you know, Michael Coyote and his throw-ins, you know, they were causing problems. You know, they were causing massive problems. Fitz says Brentford were robbed of 2 points today, deserved the win. And Fitz, you know the problem is, yeah, I went into this game confident that Brentford would win because I've seen a bit of Brentford this season. And to be honest with you, they play some very good football, you know, and, you know, Igor Thiago, I mean, the header, you know, people might say it was a great save from David Raya, you know. I look at that and probably say, you know, if we're being critical, you know, he probably should have put that in the corner, if we're honest, you know, with the form that he's been on. And then obviously the one where the mistake from Mosquito, you know, Mosquito makes the mistake. But then to be fair to him, he does get back up and he does intercept he does block the shot from Igor Thiago. For me, Thiago took too long to get the ball out of his feet and get the shot off, you know, but it was a good piece of defending. The one at the end, you know, Utara should have probably played it to Damsgaard. So Damsgaard could have probably had a bit more of a better sight of goal. But I think all in all, you know, I think Arsenal were fortunate for me to get away with a point there, you know, if we're being honest, because I know they might point to the Martinelli goal, you know, but Brentford, to be fair, had a lot more chances in that game, you know. I mean, going through the performances, I thought the defence of Christopher Ayer and what's his name? Sepp van der Berg, I think he got the man of the match. You know, they were comfortable throughout the whole game. Gyökeres didn't trouble them not once, really, you know, and, you know, it was all good, you know, praising Gyökeres when he scored 2 against promoted Sunderland, you know, but Brentford, where was he? You know, he was arguably the worst player on the pitch yet again, you know, and yeah, I thought the defense was good. Rico Henry up against Madueke, I think that was actually a very good battle. You know, I think Madueke was their biggest threat, and obviously the goal, as I said, was very good. You know, and what I would say is that Rico Henry had his hands full, really. But again, when Madueke come off and Saka came on, Saka done absolutely nothing, you know, and I think Arteta needs to really think to himself, yeah, is he gonna risk pissing off Madueke to get Saka back in the team? Because I'd argue this with anyone, Madueke is a bigger threat than Saka. He is. You know, he's more direct, he's more tricky as well. And I definitely think, man, that's something that Arteta needs to think about because, yeah, I don't believe he can keep playing Saka. I know Saka's come back off injury, but he was poor. You know, when he came on, he was just not in the game. I thought Coyote was very good, right back. And again, Italian as well. And he's only young, Coyote. I think Coyote's 21, yeah. And I think as a right back, I think there'll be a few teams looking at him in the summer, you know, because I think he's got the added weapon of his long throws. You know, me personally, I don't really like seeing long throws being introduced into this game. But if it's a weapon that you can use, then this is what people are going to do. But I think in general, he's defending, he's attacking. He's actually a decent right back, to be fair. So I'll be very surprised if there's not a few teams in for him. Um, I thought Vitali Yanel and Yarmouk, I thought they were good as well. And I thought Henderson would start, but those two offered the energy. I like Yarmouk. I like Yanel as well. I think Yanel's very technical as well, German. I think he might be a German international, funny enough. But I thought he was good. Jensen in the midfield, he couldn't really get into the game as much as he would like to, but he is creative. And then you had Utara, what's his name? Keane Lewis Potter, and then obviously Igor Thiago, man, providing the attack. And to be honest with you, they were causing problems for Arsenal all game. And Gabriel, is very lucky because Gabriel should have been sent off, man. No doubt he should have been sent off. Victor Groceries, I hear it, Stretford, man. I hear it. Like, as I said, man, he's the worst striker in this league for me. It was Rasmus Højlund, but Gyökeres has overtaken that mantle of the worst striker in this league. I look at all the starting strikers in the Premier League, and I can honestly tell you now, Gyökeres for me ain't better than anyone. He's that bad, And again, for me, the reason he's that bad is because his general play is just not there. His general play is just not there, I'll put a bet on United finishing outside top 4. That's how confident I am, boys. Mamba, listen, big up yourself for coming through because the rest of your clan, these guys only want to turn up when you win. So the fact that you didn't win and you turn up, I respect it, But listen, you guys have got other things to think about because I was told you guys are going to win it all. You've now blown a potential what could have been a 9-point lead. Really, it's now down to 4. City play Newcastle at home. You guys have got the North London derby, and I tell you this now, I expect City to be 1 point behind you guys come the following week. So that's what you got to think about. And you guys have got games coming up. You got Wigan in the FA Cup. Of course, you're going to win that game. And then, listen, you got Champions League. You got Carabao Cup final. You've got league games. You got tough games against Tottenham, Chelsea. Listen, it's all going to come crashing down, man. Crashing down for your team. Yeah, big up, man. Some waste man called John Calderwood says, Houndstooth Batty Man chatting cringe. Now, Fitz, let his comment be seen. Because when you got a guy, that's paying too much attention to another guy, we have to see what his issue is, innit? I don't know, man. He's come onto the channel. Maybe he's an Arsenal fan, maybe he's a loser, I don't know. But he's coming on talking about a houndstooth jacket. Maybe he wants the jacket really. But yeah, exactly, man. The zestiest stuff. There we go, man. Listen, commenting on another man's attire is kind of weird still. But these are the kind of guys you get, man. Unfortunately, big up to John Calderwood though, man. You wanted your shout out, and there you have it. Big up to Black Mojo King. Big up, my guy. Big up, man. Guys, let me know what you thought of this game. Let me know what you thought of the performances. I thought for Arsenal, who was Arsenal's best player? You'd probably have to say their best player was probably Declan Rice or Madueke. And not because Declan Rice was outstanding, but Declan Rice, he does put out a lot of fires, you know what I mean? I don't think he's high on quality, Declan Rice, but, his interception right at the end, which probably stopped a goal, is probably why Declan Rice, is a crucial player for Arsenal, because I don't believe there was any other midfielder in Arsenal's team that would have got back there and intercepted that. So, yeah, listen, man, I think Declan Rice and Madueke were their 2 best players, but that doesn't mean for me that they were, the 2 players that were high on quality throughout the whole match, or they had great games. I just think they were just the best of a bad bunch, because I thought Gabriel, Gabriel wasn't great. You know, he made a couple of blocks, couple of interceptions. But I think Igor Thiago had his number. And as I said, he should have been sent off anyway. Mosquito made a great block, but he was all over the place in that second half. You know, he wasn't comfortable. Timber's very consistent, so it's hard to not like Timber plays a certain level for me in most games. Hincapié, to be fair, his cross for Madueke was very good. I didn't think Zubamendi was that great. You know, he wasn't really in the game. It's the history of the Arsenal. There we go, man. What's his name? You know what, Eze, yeah. I don't blame no one else but Eze, because Eze had the chance to go to Tottenham, yeah, and I know Tottenham are struggling right now, but the very fact that Eze made the choice to go to Arsenal, you can only blame Eze, because Eze now, he can't really get continuity in his game. You know, it's very clear that Arteta doesn't really rate Eze like that, because what happens to Eze now, he's become the scapegoat. You know, because Odegaard's the captain. You know, Eze has to play well in every minute of every game he gets. So Arteta can literally, you know, have no excuse but to take him off the pitch. And for me, a talent like Eze is being stifled at Arsenal. There's no way Eze should have gone to Arsenal. You know, and I think deep down, if you was to ask Eze, you know, did he make the right choice going to Arsenal? I know obviously he's a boyhood fan and obviously he's a former academy player there as well. But I think deep down he'll be regretting going to Arsenal, because the hype around Eze's just died down now, because he can't even get really 90 minutes consistently from Arteta. You know, so it's crazy, man. Are Brentford finishing in the top 5? They won't finish in the top 5, but I'll tell you one thing, yeah. Much credit has to go to Keith Andrews, man, because Keith Andrews was being ridiculed, yeah. When he took over the job, they were saying, what, he's a defensive coach, or, you know, he's a cone man. There was people just mocking the guy, yeah. And to think that they lost Brian Mbeumo, you know, their top scorer, Johan Visser, their other top scorer, you have to give credit to Keith Andrews, because to be honest with you, the fact that he identified Dango Utara as the replacement for Mbeumo, I actually think Dango Utara is a better footballer than Brian Mbeumo. Again, Mbeumo gets the numbers, but that Utara is underrated. You know, former Bournemouth player as well. I think Bournemouth will be kicking themselves that they let him go. And obviously, Igor Thiago is a massive threat, man. So, yeah, man, he's done a very good job. And as I said to you, I was confident that, you know, they would have beaten Arsenal today. And they should have. You know, they should have. I look at that now, and I think Brentford will be looking at that as 2 points dropped, rather than them, you know, hanging on to a point against Arsenal, because they were by far the better team, you know. But again, you know, these things happen, unfortunately. Big difference in Mosquera and Saliba. I hear it. Yep, there is. And but we was told that you guys have got the best squad, you know, in world football. So I don't really want to be hearing that. You know, you guys were talking the most. You know, you guys were talking the most, man. So I don't really want to be hearing any kind of excuses, because, you know, where's Clock Enders when you need him? Probably at the ground. Who knows, yeah? But he was telling me that Manchester United didn't have a single player that would get into Arsenal's squad. So he's mentioning Mosquito in that as well. So, listen, I don't want to be hearing any noise, because, yeah, listen, Saliba I thought was going to play, and Mosquito come in and didn't really look comfortable. The one thing you can give Mosquito is the fact that he made a very good block on Igor Thiago, man. But listen, man, let's just see, man. Let's just see, because, yeah, this North London derby, man, you know, it's looking very, very tasty now, I would say, man. I would say. Do you think Arsenal are apple crumbling and bottling the league? Big up to Tiger King. Bro, listen, you can see the title, man. They are definitely apple crumbling, man. You know, big up to Apple Crumble as well, man. Sick dessert. But let me tell you now, yeah, this team, they're on the edge, you know. And I saw enough tonight, yeah, to know why there's no way um, Arsenal can win this league because they have a lack of quality, and the only way that they were going to score was either from a set piece or from just tossing the ball in the box. And let's get it right, yeah. Noni Madueke's header was very good, but I've seen enough of Arsenal to know that if there's any justice in the world in football, yeah, a team like that with the way they play cannot be winning any Premier League title, because they are a boring watch. Look at the kind of football that Brentford were playing. Brentford were trying to play at every opportunity, and to be fair, should have won the game, man. So yeah, man, they are apple crumbling. I can see. As I said, when Man City drew that game to Tottenham, because let's face it, yeah, they should already be 1 point behind Arsenal right now, because that Tottenham game, they should have won that game. But I did say that was the game where I believe they're going to click into gear. So yeah, man, I can see them pressurizing Arsenal now. Arsenal, the fact that they, drew this game. There was another game, I believe, against Nottingham Forest where they didn't capitalise. For me, I can see them now really crumbling. So big up to Eric Sings, big up. Igor Thiago will be on his way to the Arsenal in the summer, I bet. Boy, listen, you guys ain't signing no one. The only players you guys are signing is probably a left winger, because this is what Arsenal fans don't actually realise, yeah? Their team's been built longer than anyone else, if we're being honest, yeah? And the fact that they went and got Igor Thiago, Victor Gyökeres in the summer, it means that you look at their squad, yeah? They're not going to go and get a replacement for David Raya, because David Raya was the replacement for Aaron Ramsdale, if you remember, yeah? Then you look at right back. Jurrien Timber is one of the best right backs in the league. And you've got Ben White as backup. So they're not going to go and get better than Timber. So that's sewn up, yeah? We was told that you've got the two best defenders in world football, in Saliba and Gabriel. So again, there's not going to be any improvement there. And you've got Mosquito, Hincapié can play centre-back. Calafiori is a centre-back as well to back that up. So there's no improvements in defence. You've got Lewis Skelly, who we were told was going to be the next big star for England, who can't even get a game really now. You've got Calafiori, you've got Hincapié that can all play left back. Yeah? So in terms of goalkeeper and defence, Arsenal are not going to improve there. Yeah, because they've spent a lot of money on those positions. You also spent 100 million on Declan Rice. So again, he's going to play every game, and you're not going to go and get an improvement on Declan Rice. You bought Martin Zubimendi in, where a lot of fans were saying this guy is the second coming of Busquets. Again, comments like that, you should be sectioned. Should be thrown in jail for comments like that, yeah? Martin Zubimendi is the second coming of Busquets. It's like, these guys just do way too much, So again, you're not going to go and improve on him. Mikel Merino's another guy. I know he's out injured, but you guys brought him in. You brought in Christian Norgard, who really, if he had any brains, he would have stayed at Brentford and might have been lining up today against Arsenal in that midfield. And he didn't even get a game. The last time I see Norgard play was at centre-back. So he's come from Brentford to go and play centre-back for Arteta. He must be regretting that. Then you've got Martin Odegaard, who's the captain, who he just, if we're honest, he flatters to deceive. Eze costs money. He's a 10, but it's quite clear that Arteta doesn't rate him. Then you've got Saka, who just signed a new contract. He's now on 300 grand a week. And what's his gift to Arsenal for being on 300 grand a week? 4 goals and 4 assists. Incredible, yeah? Then you've got Noni Madueke, yeah, who finally got his first goal of the season. First Premier League goal of the season. And a great header at it as well, yeah? Then you've got, on the left-hand side, arguably one of the worst footballers in the league, in Gabriel Martinelli, yeah? That guy is terrible. I don't care what anyone says. He's rubbish, yeah? He's just a head-down merchant that just wants to get on the end of things. That chance today, yeah, you just knew Martinelli wasn't scoring that because he doesn't really have that in his game, that kind of composure. And you've got Trossard, who signed a new contract Not to mention Martinelli is on 180. Then you've got that builder up top in Victor Gyökeres, who you spent 60 million on, and we was told by a certain Lumi Rain that he's going to get 25 league goals this season. Looking like she's got that one wrong, yeah? Then you've got Kai Havertz, who's one of your highest paid players. He can't get game. He's just come back off injury. Gabriel Jesus, who's on, what's he on, about 250, 280 as well. So again, when we're hearing that you guys are going to be buying Igor Thiago, how? How are you going to buy him? What, are you going to sell Gyökeres after one season and admit that you got that one horribly wrong? If that's the case, then fair enough. But it ain't going to happen with Igor Thiago, man. Let's be honest. Fixture change and Wolves are playing Arsenal on Wednesday night now. Yeah, I heard that one. Listen, don't be surprised, yeah, if Wolves pick up a point against Arsenal, because I know you guys remember that game at the Emirates, yeah? Wolves should have been out of sight. They should have won the game. You know what I mean? And Arsenal obviously nicked the goal at the end, own goal. But listen, man, they were fortunate. But yeah, as I said, this Arsenal team, yeah, if anyone thinks this Arsenal team will win the Premier League, don't if I'm you, sell your stocks, because that's a team there that it's impossible for them to win a Premier League title playing like that. Playing like that. When you've got the likes of Declan Rice, yeah, and this is no disrespect to Declan Rice, because I actually do think Declan Rice is a decent player. I don't think he's the level that many think he is. I just think he's a good Premier League player. But when he's consistently your best player, you have to ask yourself, maybe that's a problem. Because a player like him, the way he plays, yeah, should never be your best player week in, week out, really. It shows me that the team ain't that great, let's be honest. Good thing is Big Saliba will be fit for next game. Big Saliba, Big Saliba. The same guy that got bullied the other day against Brian Robbie. Yeah, that one, yeah. Cool. Yeah, Big Saliba. All I know is we are 4 points clear. That's 2 games we've got on City. But again, that's not true, because City play Newcastle before you play Tottenham. I'm just saying. And we all know what City done to Newcastle last time, yeah? And the fact that City at home, I expect City to do the same thing and pick up the points. I think City now, they're in a situation where they know it's make or break, and they'll be fully focused. Arsenal, as I said, are starting to crumble. So, yeah, if you're an Arsenal fan, be very worried. That's what I would say, 12 games to go in the next 2 games. Arsenal will be 10 points off Man United with 10 games remaining. Arsenal Bottlers FC. Yeah, big up, my guy, man. Listen, I'll tell you this right now, yeah? If we would have sacked Ruben Amorim like we were supposed to earlier on, I have no doubt we'll be top of the table right now. I'm telling you now, we would be top of the table. No doubt. If we would have sacked Ruben Amorim, Ruben Amorim should never have made it to this season. I spoke about this before. The fact that he made it to this season is where we failed, yeah? But you look at Manchester United, how it's set up now under Carrick, yeah? If Carrick was in charge for the majority of the games that Amorim lost, guarantee you, those games there would be wins or points on the board, and yeah, it's frustrating, man, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Havertz is injured. Yeah, he's injured again, yeah? Boy. Huh. Looks like the injuries are stacking up for Arsenal, man. It looks like they're stacking up, man. Looks like they're stacking up. Big up to Simon, man. Big up. Guys, make sure you're smashing the likes as well. You got 19 of you watching, 14 likes. Smash the likes, sub to the channel. Make sure you share the channel. And let me know what you think of today's game. Or tonight's game, should I say, between Brentford and Arsenal. Do you think Arsenal deserved a point? Or do you think Brentford will be kicking themselves that they didn't make it 3 points? Because I'll tell you this now. Brentford looked very threatening. I know they were, I think early in the second half, Arsenal were pushing them back with the pressure, you know, but you could tell that, you know, they were trying to play a bit more on the counter. You know, Kevin Schade, I think, was a massive miss because imagine bringing him on later on in the game with his pace. You know, he would have got through as well. But Brentford has some good chances, man. The Igor Thiago, you know, I think he'll be kicking himself that he's not put his name on the score sheet today. You know, and the last one with Dango Utara, you know, he got a block on it, but he probably should have played in Mikel Damsgaard, if we're honest, you know. Arsenal will always be the bridesmaid, never the bride. I hear it, bro. I hear it, man. I hear it. But listen, these guys will keep telling you that, you know, that they're winning it all. And as I said, Lumi Rain, where are you? You know, don't think we've forgotten. You know, Lumi Rain does a lot of chatting, and she's just nowhere to be seen when her team let her down like they always do. Let's go through some of your comments, guys. Big up. Brentford should have finished the game 3-1 at least. Fitz, I agree, man. Tell me what chances Arsenal had. The only one I can think of, apart from the goal, was the Martinelli one. You know, that's the only one I can think of. But other than that, they didn't really create any chances, really. You know what I mean? You know, there's a lot of scrambles in the box. You know, they didn't create nothing. So, yeah, man, that's Arsenal for you, innit? It is better to win the title like this. At least it's a two-horse race. Unfortunately, Man U is in the top 4 race. Mamba, listen, you've heard it here first, yeah? I guarantee you we'll win a league title before you guys. Guarantee you. I guarantee you we'll win a league title before you guys. Because don't look at the fact that we're 4th, yeah? We should be higher in the table if we didn't have Ruben Amorim in charge for the majority. That's the truth. And the fact that, you know, we're the most informed team at the moment in the league, yeah, that just tells you everything. You know, so you guys can be busting joke when you don't win the title, yeah? But listen, next season, I've said this already. If we get our recruitment right in terms of the midfielders, we get 2 or 3 central midfielders in, you know, we get a left back in or we get a left winger in, and it's either going to be Carrick or, dare I say it, we go and get a Luis Enrique or a top coach like that, we'll finish above you. Because the difference between Man United and Arsenal, yeah, we're not even that far from you. And the other day showed it. We beat you anyway. So, you know, I wouldn't even blame people saying that, you know, we're better than Arsenal. But, again, it's a one-off game. But what I will tell you, yeah, is that we've already shown in a short space of time under Carrick, yeah, that we're a serious team. You guys cannot improve your team, really, because you spent all the money that you had on your team now. So your team's already set. We can only go up from here because look at what we're doing now. We go and improve that midfield area. Yeah. I'm telling you now, man, we have every chance in finishing above you guys because you guys ain't that good. That is the truth. I don't rate Arsenal, man. I never have rated Arsenal like that. You know, I think they've got good players in the likes of Saliba, Gabriel, Urian Timber, Declan Rice, you know, Eze. I think Eze is good. Saka. These guys are all good Premier League players, but you haven't got any special players. That's the truth. You haven't got one special player in your squad. You haven't, you know. That's the truth. So, big up to Dereless. Big up, man. Big up. 22 years is one hell of a gap between league titles. It's a hell of a gap, man. A hell of a gap. Of course. You know, but as I said, we've been told that they're going to win it all. So, we'll have to wait and see, man. We have to wait and see. I do have to give Arteta some credit. He's a good coach, but he just needs more signings. Well, how many signings do you want to give him? You know, and that's the thing. The guy's been backed with over 1 billion, maybe 2 billion. You know what I mean? So, it's crazy, man. It is absolutely crazy. I don't care about that, but hopefully start challenging them again. Yeah, but again, what are we challenging? Like we're not challenging Arsenal because Arsenal not winning this league. So I wouldn't even look at it like that. You know what I mean? I'd much rather say we're going to be challenging Man City because At least Man City have got the credentials to go and win this league title. You know, Arsenal are not going to win this league title. I've told you this already. You know, you'll be giving me my flowers at the end of the season because I've been saying this. If we want to win the league, we need to change the owners, Gav. Again, I'm not totally of that opinion. I'm not. Because, as I said, yeah, that is just bollocks. That is just being, you know, that is certain channels that are trying to push that agenda. Because the reality is, yeah, Sir Alex Ferguson won Premier League titles with these owners. Yeah, these owners, as we know, are a massive problem. You know, and I don't really want to keep talking about the owners because the reality is, you know, a lot of these fans that talk about the owners, you know, are you going to get the owners out? That's the reality. You know, I've got no kind of energy for that because, you know, I can't get the owners out. So it's pointless just talking about that. But what we can look at and what we can control is what goes on the pitch, you know. And this is why I was so against Ruben Amorim, because the owners don't tell Ruben Amorim to play a 3-4-2-1 and play a whole lot of players out of position. The owners don't tell Ruben Amorim to keep Kobbie on the bench for as long as he did, you know. So, as I said, these owners are a problem. But the fact that in the summer, you know, we're looking at signing a few midfielders, we can only go up from here, you know. And again, we're not a long way away, man. We're not. Who would you like to be the next head coach at United and why? So again, yeah, for me, and I'm glad you said coach, yeah, head coach, because this is what we need, you know. We need to get away from this. We need to go and get a manager. Because if you look at all the clubs now around the world, the top teams, they don't really employ managers. The managers are a thing of the past, you know. Head coaches are there to improve players, which is why in the job title it says head coach. So if I'm looking at the next coach to come in, I'm looking at coaches that will improve players. You've got Luis Enrique, of course. You've got Xavi. You've got Roberto De Zerbi. You've got Andoni Iraola. You know, you've got Oliver Glasner. You know, I've mentioned 5 names there. These guys are all coaches that will improve the players, you know. But for me, I'd have no problem keeping Michael Carrick, you know. And again, the game against West Ham, you know, I was more frustrated, not angry, because I was frustrated in the fact that for me, the two issues that I had with Michael Carrick, yeah, is that Michael Carrick for me should have made changes at half time. I'll stand by that because you could clearly see in the first half we needed to get a Xerxes on. You know, people are gonna say Sesko because it's hindsight because Sesko got the goal. But for me, we needed Xerxes up there because Xerxes can hold the ball. And that game was crying out for a number 9 to just be the pivot and hold the ball and get the players into the game. Because against a low block, you know, the likes of a Brian Mbeumo is null and void in a low block because he hasn't got the quality in between the lines to do anything or even to hold the ball like that because that isn't his game. So we needed to get a Joshua Xerxes on to hold the ball. And the fact that he kept Mbeumo on and Bruno Fernandes is the 2 problems that I had with Carrick. But since Carrick's come in, you know, you can't criticize Carrick really because Carrick's done a very good job with what he's got at his disposal, really. But yeah, against West Ham, those were the 2 problems that I had with him because he should have taken off Bruno, really, and or Mbeumo and kept Cunha on, and then Xerxes should have come on at half time, and then you bring Sesko on like he did, you know. But the good thing with Carrick is that at least we were trying to win the game. You know, we were kept, and if the game was going on for another 5-10 minutes, I believe we would have won the game because he made changes to change the flow of the game. You know, but maybe it might have been slightly too late. Who knows? But I'm happy with Carrick, and based on that, if Carrick gets us Champions League football, you know, and we keep playing good football, but he plays the players that, you know, I would like to see play more game. I would like to see get more game time. Then I haven't got a problem with Carrick staying in charge. You know what I mean? But if he doesn't get us Champions League football and the football does drop, then of course you have to kind of look at these things and think, yeah, maybe we have to look elsewhere. But for me, I've been happy with Carrick for what he's done so far. You know, I like his demeanour on the touchline as well. He's not someone that gets too carried away. You know, he's not someone that, you know, even when we score a goal, he's calm and composed like he was as a player. You know, and what I would say is that if we can't get a Luis Enrique for me, or a Xavi, you know, and the reason I'm saying Xavi is because Xavi's a coach, you know, and we just need a coach. If we can't get someone like that or a De Zerbi, then why would you get rid of Carrick if he's doing a good job? So, yeah, man. Other fans from rival clubs have mocked us. Now who's laughing? Bro, they can mock us all they want, man. Just look at the trophy cabinet. You know what I mean? Go and look at how many trophies we've won in the last 10 years. And then you'll see who's mocking who. You know what I mean? Like, if it's Arsenal fans, listen, 20 odd years, man. Like, you guys can't be laughing. It's that simple. You can't be laughing. You know what I mean? Casemiro's probably got more trophies by himself than the whole Arsenal squad together. So, I don't know where the laughing's coming from, if it's coming from them. United have got no special players. Boy, listen. I'm pretty sure, Mamba, you watched the game when we beat you 3-2, man. Look at the special strikes that we produced. You ain't got one player that can do that. which is why we beat you. So, listen. Enough of that, Mamba, man. Enough of that. Take your medicine, as Roy Keane says, and bounce, man. You know what I mean? Yeah, big up, man. Big up. Pep's a checkbook manager. So what is Arteta then? What's Arteta then? You know what I mean? Come on. Big up to Fitz, man. I'm not even seeing some of the chat, man, but yeah, I don't even know who Sing is, man. Sing. Good. Gav, I heard that, but Jason Wilcox is literally getting involved and told Ruben to change his system. And you know what, yeah? I've already spoken on this before, yeah? Now, what you need to realise, yeah? The very fact that there was Jason Wilcox or whoever telling Amorim to change his system, yeah? That was the beginning of the end. It was, yeah? Because he was being micromanaged because they didn't trust him. So the facts are, yeah? The facts are, we was losing more or less every week. We were struggling. You know, the players weren't playing well. It was a struggle to watch Manchester United. You know, Ineos had to step in, you know, and basically tell Ruben Amorim to fix up, which meant he had to change something. You know, obviously Amorim didn't want to change from what we're hearing, but again, that was the beginning of the end for me. It was because he had been given enough time to try and stamp his authority on the squad. And again, people are going to keep saying he didn't have his players this, didn't have his players that. You know, it's just wasted breath, really. But the facts are, you know, a lot of these players, you know, the only players that have been here under more than 2 managers is Luke Shaw, Bruno Fernandes, Diogo Dalot, and Harry Maguire, you could probably say. That's it. You know, but they're 4 players, if we're honest, that we have to get rid of. You know, the majority of all the players are all newer players. So what I would say is that the fact they got involved and told him to change his system, you're damn right, yeah. And it was the beginning of the end for Ruben Amorim as well. You know, so yeah, man, it's good that he's got. Listen, Ruben Amorim's gone now, and let's just move past that because he was a massive problem, whether people like it or not. Fact is, you are fighting for top 4 whilst we are 4 points clear at the top levels. The facts are, yeah, that is true. That is true, Mamba. That is true. But what I will tell you now, yeah, when you end up second in the league, yeah, you're also going to be fighting for top 4. So again, man, listen, don't crawl before you can walk, yeah? Don't walk before you can crawl, should I say. When you guys are second in the league, that's your league. That's your league title. Your league title chase done. You're now going to be in a top 4 battle. Yeah. I'll tell you now, Aston Villa, they've been struggling as of late, but they're only I think they're 6 points behind you now? Or is it 7? Is it 7 points? Yeah, sorry, I think there's 7 points behind you, I believe. So, yeah, listen, man, you guys have got tough games coming up. So let's just see what you guys do, man, Don't worry about us. Sesko saved our skins twice now, right at the end of the match. We have to start him for the Everton game. But again, Sesko might be more beneficial as an impact sub because the fact that he's come off the bench to get 2 goals, yeah, that doesn't mean automatically now he has to start. Again, I don't want to see Mbeumo start through the middle again. I've never really wanted to see him start through the middle in the first place, yeah. And I do expect Carrick to change something. And he's kind of forced, Sesko's actually forced Carrick's hand to give him a start because he has got 2 goals. But then the problem that's going to be, if Sesko starts and has a quiet game, a lot of fans are now going to be saying, oh, Sesko now needs to be put on the bench. So again, you can't really win. For me, I would love to see Joshua Zirkzee just being given a run of games and him and Sesko just alternate and work it out. That's what I like to see. But again, it's down to Carrick, man. We have to see what Carrick's going to do, innit? It's going to be a big gap to fill when Cass goes. But regarding head coaches, I agree. Can't criticize Carrick. He's doing well. Yeah, listen, I'm holding out hope there, LS, man. I'm holding out hope that Carrick and his agent, I'm hoping that Carrick, sorry, Casemiro and his agent, I'm hoping that they come to some sort of agreement with United so he can stay, man, for another season. I know it's wishful thinking, but I'm hoping, man, because a player of his level, his quality, and his leadership, these players don't grow on trees, man. And if there's any way that we can try and retain Casemiro, yeah, I'll be all for it, man, because he's a top midfielder. And look at what he's done since Carrick's come to the club as well. I'm still laughing at Frank Spencer getting the sack and Dyche a day later. Frank Spencer, I wonder who's next in the sack race. Yeah, big up, man. Listen, yeah, I only found that out, yeah, literally a couple of hours ago that Dyche got sacked. I didn't even know. And it just shows you, man, that these owners are ruthless. Like, they can't afford to be relegated with the amount of money that's in the league, yeah? Who do I think gets sacked next? Mikel Arteta. Arteta or Arne Slot. But I'm going to lean more towards Arteta. But we need to blame Ineos for giving Ruben the job to begin with. Surely you can admit, like Sir Jim needs to go. Yeah, listen. Of course, Ineos have to take accountability that, they hired Ruben Amorim. But again, you are allowed to make mistakes. And what I would say with the hiring of Ruben Amorim, yeah, it was poor, but they hired Ruben Amorim because they got excited with Amorim being this young coach and there was hype around his name. I believe they quickly saw when this guy come into the club, he wasn't what they thought he was, and then they had to kind of act accordingly. But they had to kind of show that they supported him. But deep down, they knew that, this guy wasn't really going to be the long term. And I think if any fan out there that thinks that Ruben Amorim deserved more time, then I have to say, man, you don't really support the club. You may claim to support the club, but I don't think you do. Because there's no part of me that's going to say that Ruben Amorim should have deserved more time. This guy was breaking records after records. You know what I mean? Negative records. So, yeah, listen, they did make a mistake in appointing him in the first place. But again, man, everyone makes mistakes. What I would say now, the very fact that they took Carrick rather than Solskjaer it's showing me that they're learning, because they could have easily gone for Solskjaer and gone for the easy appointment, you know. But Carrick's a coach, you know. He's got Steve Holland there as well, Johnny Evans, who are helping out with the coaches, helping out with the coaching. So they could have easily gone for Solskjaer, you know, and gone down that route yet again. But the fact that they actually, you know, went for Carrick is good news. And let's just see what happens to the end of the season, because so far he's done a very good job, unbeaten in 5 games. You know, against Everton won't be easy, but I expect us to win that game as well. But he's got to learn from what he done against West Ham, and if he does, there should be no problem us beating West Ham. Do you watch any of the under-21s apart from Shea Lacey? Do you think anyone else could come through and become great at Man United? I'll be honest here. I don't really watch the under-21s or the youth team. I used to watch it back in the day, man. And again, the thing is with me, yeah, I've seen some ridiculous talent in Man United's reserves from years gone by, and these guys didn't really figure into the first team as much as they would have liked, either from injury or form, yeah, or just players in their position, yeah. But I used to watch Man United's reserves when they had Giuseppe Rossi, yeah. And if anyone knows about Giuseppe Rossi, yeah, it will let you know why I can't really rate too many players from academies, from the reserves, because Giuseppe Rossi was a cheat code. I'll tell you that now. He was an absolute cheat code in that reserve team. That was a reserve team that had Lee Martin in there as well. If you know Lee Martin, you know, I used to play against Lee Martin, play with him as well. When he used to be at Chelsea before he went to Man United, and obviously before United he was at Wimbledon. Yeah. Then you've got Sylvanie Banks Blake, Chris Eagles, Kieran Richardson. These guys were all in the same youth team, yeah? And as I said, Giuseppe Rossi was ridiculous. So Shea Lacey has got something, no doubt, yeah? But if Shea Lacey doesn't make it into the first team on a consistent basis, it is what it is, because the quality should always be high. When you look at Giuseppe Rossi, and Rossi didn't really get regular games in the first team, it wasn't because Rossi wasn't good enough. It's because the level was high. So I'm looking at any youth player coming through now. I don't want youth players just coming in just because, you know. What I've seen of Shea Lacey, he's definitely got quality. But, you know, I don't want to see him just get thrust into the team just because he's from the academy. We've got a genuine, you know, potential world beater in Kobbie Mainoo for me, who's rightfully in the first team. But other than that, you know, there's talk about JJ Gabriel. For me, he's potentially going to be a wonder kid as well. I like Sekou Kone from what I've seen of him, you know. But other than that, I can't really tell you, man. You know, I can't really tell you. But I'm pretty sure if these guys are good enough, they'll find their way in the first team. But as I said, when I've seen players like Giuseppe Rossi, you know, the level for me in rating a lot of these players coming through is high. Because that was a serious player, Giuseppe Rossi, you know. But hopefully Shea Lacey can get into the first team and start making his mark. It's not going to be easy because he's got players ahead of him that play in a similar position that have either been spent a lot of money on or just ahead of him in the pecking order because of where they're at. Yeah, listen, Ugarte goes end of the season. But again, I've spoken about this already, yeah. Ugarte is not really a problem for me now because Ugarte was a problem when Amorim was here and even Ten Hag, because these guys, with the way they see football, they just like runners. The fact that Carrick's here now and Carrick clearly doesn't rate Ugarte and only uses him as a last resort, you know, I'm looking at Ugarte as a summer deal that we get rid of. So I'm not even looking at him as a problem no more. I used to, but not no more, because he's clearly on his way out. He's not favoured for obvious reasons. And yeah, man, it is what it is, isn't it? He'll be gone. Arteta next to leave. Listen, Arteta and Slot, man. They're the next. What about one of the Fletchers getting into the first team? Now, listen, let's scrap that, man. Again, you have to be good enough to be you have to be good enough, yeah, to be in the first team. Like, I don't want to just see these players being thrust into the first team just because. So yeah, I don't want to see that, man. And these Fletchers, the Fletcher brothers, from what I've seen of one of them, he ain't no first team player, man. Like, let him go on loan and, you know, find his way, you know. Frankie Frank says, did you play professional football yourself? So I didn't play in the first team, but I was at Chelsea and Tottenham. So I was at Chelsea back in the academy in the reserves for 7. I was at Chelsea for 7 years. I was at Tottenham for 3 years, you know, and then I got released when I was at Tottenham when I was 17. And then I had an opportunity to go and play for Burnley when Burnley were in the Championship. So Burnley offered me a 1-year pro, a 1-year scholarship, which I didn't really take that up. I ended up going on trial to non-league. What does that say? Non-league to Southend, Cambridge, Russian and Diamonds, teams like that. I had an offer for a team in Italy as well, a Serie A B side. So yeah, I've had mad experience, man, in football. You know, some of the players I've played against, which probably giving away my age as well. So I played up against from the ages of like 14 and 15. Played against Wayne Rooney. Played against Samir Nasri. Yeah, so I've had mad experiences from grounds I've played at. You know, I've been a ball boy as well at Chelsea back in the day. So yeah, I've had mad experiences, man. But as I said, yeah, I didn't make it into the first team. But yeah, I was in the academy and played a couple of reserve games as well. So yeah, man, crazy. Imagine summer Pep leaves on a high, Slot and Arteta sacked. Could be a madness. Nuno hanging on by the skin of his teeth as manager. I don't know, man. Nuno's turned it around for West Ham, man. You have to say. He has turned it around. Are you happy that Tuchel is now ruled out to be the next manager? Yeah, listen, I didn't want Thomas Tuchel. Like, as I said, yeah, I want coaches. I don't want any pragmatic managers coming to this club. I want coaches. So the fact that Thomas Tuchel has signed a new contract at England, it's even better, man, because I didn't want Tuchel. So that's good. You was good, so well done. Yeah, listen, man. You know, I should have made it as a professional. I should have, you know, but certain things didn't go in my favor, you know. But you know, I look back and say, you know, I've achieved things that many people probably haven't. You know what I mean? That's how I look back at it, and this is why I got my channel, my platform to talk about football. You know, and I enjoy it, man, because you know when it comes to just football talk, yeah, man, I'm in my element, to be honest with you. So I enjoy it. I wish I could get back into football, but my foot is mash up. I'm like David Moyes, can't even do a knee slide. Yeah, bro, man. If your foot's... Listen, just rest, man. Rest and recuperate and return when you can. That's all I would say, you know? Yeah, man. That's all I would say. Yeah. I was in our football team back at my upper school days. Yeah, man. School football. Yeah, school football was enjoyable as well, you know? But again, when I was, I think, was it year 9 or year 9 or year 10? Obviously, back then when you're in the academy, they don't even let you play for your school sometimes. So I couldn't even play for my school all the time. There was days where, you know, obviously I'd have training or a game during the week when I've got a school match, or there was times where they didn't let us play at all. So yeah, man, these things used to go on. I'm not sure what it's like now, but yeah, these things happen, man. You know. Kobbie back in contention. Yes, Tuchel, you're learning. He's such a huge talent. He's back in the picture. And guys, look at that, yeah? Michael Carrick takes over. Kobbie all of a sudden is back in contention for England. And that's all it took, guys. And I always said, yeah, I always said Kobbie Mainoo will be going to the World Cup if he gets back, if once he gets back into this team. And it's good to see, man, because I look at that England midfield, yeah, and in terms of talent, yeah, as a central midfielder, you know, him, Adam Wharton for me are the two most talented. You know, I like Elliot Anderson as well, but I don't think Anderson is as talented as Wharton and Kobbie Mainoo. And obviously you've got Declan Rice as well. But if you look at those four as a combination, if it's those four that are going, that's a very good balance. You know, you've got the energy, the experience, and the never say die attitude really of Declan Rice. You've got Kobbie Mainoo, as I said, the quality, the composure, you know, the press resistance as well. Adam Wharton, the same, you know, someone that can dictate the tempo of a game. And he's creative as well from that position. And you've got Elliot Anderson, who can do a bit of both, you know, defensive and attacking. And he's good on the ball. So that four there, that's a good balance, man, if it's them four that go. Big Up Fit says, we said Kobbie for World Cup in November. Yeah, bro, listen, man. We knew Kobbie as soon as Amorim got sacked. You know, it wasn't rocket science to say that Kobbie will be back in the England fold, man, because he'll be playing regular for England, and England don't have an abundance of midfielders that are quality like a Kobbie Mainoo. So it was a matter of time, man. You know, and it's good to see Kobbie back in the fold under Tuchel, because Tuchel's gonna rate him anyway. You know, it's obvious. Big up to Exedra. Big up, my guy. Big up. We have 10 days until our next game, and I hope we are a bit more with it this time. We look like we had a bit bad night in the pub at the West Ham game. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, that West Ham game was frustrating, as I said. But I don't really put too much blame on Carrick apart from who was that their group? Yeah, I don't really put too much blame on Carrick apart from the sub that he should have made at halftime, and the fact that he kept Mbeumo and Bruno on. You know, because against a team like West Ham, who are playing with a low block, you know, sometimes you have to look at the players and think, are we going to just go and win this game? You know, there's only so much a manager can do. And things with Carrick, he has set us up in a good way. So you can't really crash it on Carrick, man. It's down to the players. And let's hope against Everton, man, we can kind of rectify that, you know? Gav, what age did you start playing football? The passion you have for the game is next level. Makes sense why you know so much about the game. Yeah, big up Babs One Diva. So what age did I start playing football? That's a good question, you know. I started playing football when I was 7 or 8, I think I was. Obviously, as many people do, you play for your normal Sunday league team. And then from my Sunday league team, I ended up playing, obviously, with my school team as well. Then you end up playing for your district, for your county. And then I got scouted by playing for Sunday league. And then, obviously, district, you know. Because my first actual club was actually Norwich City. I actually played for Norwich City first and foremost. And I think with Norwich City, they had 2 centres running. They had one centre in an area called Potter's Bar, and they had another centre in actual Norfolk, in Norwich. And basically what happened is that they couldn't afford to keep, you know, both centres running. So what they done is kept all the players that were from Norfolk at Norwich still, and then all the players that were training in Potter's Bar, they had to obviously the centre was closing down due to a lack of money. But then what they did is that they had an agreement with some of the other professional clubs that you can either go on trial to Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, or West Ham, and I chose Chelsea, and that's how I ended up at Chelsea in the first place. So so yeah, man, it was. I've had mad experience, as I said, and so yeah, I think that's 7 or 8 Sunday league, as I said, district, county, then academy. So yeah, that was the career path really, and yeah, man, as I said, I've enjoyed it. But big up for the question, Bazwan Diva. Big up. Who's winning the league? Man City, easy. Everton have got some good form lately, despite the fact that Grealish is out for the rest of the season. Well, they got beat last game. They got beat by Bournemouth, you know. And again, if they would have beaten Bournemouth, I believe they would have been. I'm pretty sure they'd have been level on points with Liverpool, if I remember. So, yeah, man, crazy, absolutely crazy. Guys, let me know what you thought of the game tonight, though. The Arsenal and Brentford game. Was there any players that stood out? Cannot believe, man, Atletico beat Barcelona 4-0 in the first leg. That is shocking, man. 4-0. Garcia own goal, Griezmann, Lookman, Alvarez. Crazy. That is crazy. Brentford should have got 3 points. I agree, my guy. I agree, man. Igor Thiago, man, that header, if we're being critical, he should have put that into the corner, man, if we're honest. You know, I think people will say good save from David Raya, but I think sometimes, you know, in that position, man, you can't really give the goalkeeper a save to make. And I thought he made it not easy, but you know, he didn't really make it difficult for Raya. I think people look at that in hindsight saying it's a good save, but I think he should have scored that. The one where Mosquito blocked it, I think Thiago took too long. Yeah, the Dango Tara one at the end, maybe should have played Damsgaard in, you know. But listen, they should have won the game and they'll be kicking themselves. I think they'll be going away from this game more angry than Arsenal, in my opinion. You know, I know people will think Arsenal will go away from that game more annoyed, but not for me. I think Brentford will be looking at that thinking we should have won that game. And the thing is, Brentford have been in very good form as well. So, did you see the situation with McNeil? Dwight McNeil, I haven't. No, what's happened with Dwight McNeil? Let us know in the chat. I've not heard. Yeah, I hear it, Zedra, man. Yeah, it's crazy to think, man. They 4-0 against Barca, you know. Like, the funny thing is, yeah, I actually was going to put an accumulator on, and I would have done Barca to win. And thank God I didn't, man, because, yeah, 4-0, that's no joke, man. They've absolutely destroyed them. And again, Eric Garcia got sent off, yeah, but you can't even say that was the reason, because he got sent off late in the game when they were 4-0 down anyway. So, yeah, man, it's crazy. Crazy business. So he was supposed to go to Crystal Palace. His wife started throwing up post on Insta. So what? His wife started playing up because she didn't want to leave. She didn't want to leave Merseyside. Is that what it was? Is that what it was? She didn't want to leave Merseyside. Palace's new player got a brace. Yeah, Strand Larson, man, he got 2 against Burnley, man, and they still got beat, man. That is poor. Yeah, Glasner's stock, man, is slightly starting to drop, man, which is annoying because I do think he's actually a good coach, good manager, but yeah, man, it's quite clear, man. He's fallen out with the club, man. You know. Yeah, I think it was gonna be was it gonna be 20 mil or something. They were gonna sign him for something like that. 20 was it 20 mil? Surely more than that. There are some mouth-watering ties in the FA Cup. Yeah, I'm not really gonna be watching the FA Cup, to be honest. I'm gonna be busy, man. Over that weekend. I know Arsenal are playing Wigan. They should beat them. You know, imagine if Wigan beat them, boy. Imagine if Wigan actually beat Everton and beat Arsenal. Sorry, that'd be mad. So yeah, I'm not really gonna be taking that in the FA Cup. Obviously, United not in it, so yeah, man, there's no point. Oh, what? Oxlade-Chamberlain scored what for Celtic? Yeah. I will laugh if Salford beat City. Nah, it's not gonna happen, man. City are gonna play their second team and they're gonna smoke them. So yeah, that's not gonna happen. City are at home as well. And what's good for City, yeah, is that City can afford to literally just rest their entire 11. Yeah. And I believe Arsenal will change their team up, yeah. But I'm not too sure if Arsenal's second team can confidently beat Wigan. You know? But I believe that City's second team will confidently beat Salford. So there you have it, man. But guys, listen, we're gonna wrap it up anyway. Big up yourselves for coming on each and every time. Big up to Mamba as well. I know Mamba's a bit delusional as an Arsenal fan, but at least he showed his face, not like the others, you know, because if Arsenal would have won, you know, these lot would have been in the chat. And I'll keep saying this, guys, every time. When you guys only show up when it suits you, when you guys do not win the league, it's going to be because of this reason. You know, because you can't be sometime come on, sometime not. You know, because I guarantee if Arsenal would have won, you guys would have been talking the most. But as I said, big up to Mamba, man, because at least you showed your face, you know. But guys, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you sub to the channel. And make sure you share the channel as well. Share the channel on all your other platforms. Yeah, big up to Darren Less, man. Yeah, I'll look at that. Big up to Exedra as well. Yeah, big up to all the mods, man. Big up to all you guys for coming through. Obviously, I'm gonna wrap it up. But guys, obviously over the next week, you know, I will be streaming a lot more often. Big up to Simon, man, as well. So obviously I'm gonna have a lot of free time. So I'll be probably doing 2 streams a day next week. And obviously I'll have some other videos coming out as well. And I'm gonna try and do something new as well in terms of some different content as well. Which I'll be looking to do. So yeah, make sure you guys keep an eye on that. And guys, make sure you've got your notifications on as well. To know when I go live. You know, so normally I go live, you know, if it's during the day, I'm normally live at 12:30 in the afternoon. And then if it's an evening one, you know, depending on what games are on, you know, I'm normally live in the evening around 7:30. But yeah, just make sure your notifications are on to know when I go live anyway, just so you guys don't miss the stream. And as I said, keep interacting, guys. Keep interacting. Obviously, this channel's growing. Obviously, it's got a long way to go. And again, if you guys enjoy the content, I appreciate you guys coming on and interacting, you know. So yeah. But yeah, tomorrow, guys, most probably won't be live tomorrow, but I probably will be putting out a video anyway. So yeah, keep an eye on that when it goes out. And then obviously over the weekend, You know, I probably might do some content, but I won't be doing no reactions to any FA Cup games, but I might put out some different content. Who knows, you know? But yeah, keep an eye on it anyway. And as I said, appreciate you guys coming through each and every time. Smash the like button on the way out. Sub to the channel, share the channel. Check out all the other content as well. And yeah, guys, I'll catch you guys in a bit. Take it easy.